Okay, I want to welcome everybody to our Compound Stock Earnings, Unconventional Wisdom, the podcast show, and CSE Investment Show. And we're supposed to have a new sort of permanent client, you might say, but we didn't notify them until late on Monday, and it takes a little while to get organized, to get things downloaded and all that. So I'm not sure he's going to make it today, but he'll be on next Thursday. And his name is John. He's in Chicago. And John has been with us a number of years and does excellence in returns with Randy's momentum trades and Cezanne Joni's macro moment trades. And he recently he sends us every week and has for years to put into the Cal report his returns for the week. And I think the latest one I got today, he has every return, the date, and what he made on each one, but he summarizes at the end. And at the end, it's 97.44% last week, not month, last week. And then the week before that, and this one was in the Cal report this last weekend, was 125.15% for the week. Incredible stuff. And he's going to be on as sort of a permanent client part of our team, so people can call in or email and he can answer questions how he does that using our techniques, and he can ask questions of all of us and give his comments and what he does to be so successful. Follows the rules probably. I have one other interesting thing, and it's going to be in the Cal report editorial section this weekend. I received a email from an outfit, and it's entitled "Hyper Retirement: The Special Investment Formula for Returns and for Retiring in 5 to 10 years." So if you waited, the whole point of the article is if you waited a long time and didn't really prepare for retirement, and now you're within 5 to 10 years, all hope is not gone. And it's interesting because Randy and I, we know this well. It deals with a technique. He starts off, technique, and it's a technique that a lot of real wealthy investors use. And he specifically mentions Warren Buffett uses the technique. And we've been doing it for probably, Randy, 10 or 15 years. But it's the old selling out of the money calls against stocks. And so I've in the last 2 years or last year, I've done 2 editorials on this technique. But I always use the old traditional third Friday expirations. And it dawned on me, you ought to look at this with the current weekly expirations. So I took Apple, good stock. Doesn't pay much of a dividend. It's slightly less than 2%. So just forget about the dividend.
Hello, testing.
Okay. Who's that?
Okay, there's John.
Hey, John.
Finally.
I'm here. Good morning.
Hey, did you hear what I was telling about you? Saying about you?
No, just the last 30 seconds or so.
Okay. Well, I told him, next Thursday you'll be on there in full color, picture and everything. But that it just takes a little while to get this stuff organized. So let me go ahead and finish what I just started to talk about, and then we'll get over and concentrate on you, John.
Okay.
So anyhow, it's selling out of money covered calls against a stock. In this case, I took Apple, Cezanne's favorite. Now, there's no way you can get burned on this technique. At least, Randy, I don't know, maybe you know some way you can get burned on it, unless you just do something stupid. But it's buy the stock and then just sell on a weekly basis out of the money covered calls. What that means is if the stock gets called out, you get called out for a profit, plus you keep the premium you received. And then you just merely, watch the chart, buy the stock on a down day again, and start back doing it again. And you just do this over and over and over, except use weeklies. So this morning I ran what it would be from today if you bought the stock, just 100 shares, spent $16,839. That's what the stock closed at yesterday, but $168.39. And then I sold 172 out of the money call for next Friday. So it's almost exactly a week, and picked up $2.50 or so, which was about a 1.33% return. Now, extrapolating this out, which is always a little dangerous, but if you said, okay, I'm going to do this every week for the next 52 weeks, you would bring in a huge amount of money, but compounding over a 10-year basis. And they also, the article points out the power of the compounding this over 10 years will result in $16,221,778.82. That's what you will have earned over just 10 years selling out of the money covered calls. Forget the dividend. That we're not counting that. So you'd probably add another, over 10 years, 20% or so for the dividends. It's around 2% a year. Incredible. So if you decide, well, I'm going to do this over 5 years, what's it going to amount to? Well, substantially less, because the compounding effect really kicks in at 5 years, but you would end up with $522,645. Now, if you continued selling those weekly covered calls on that amount, you said, okay, I'm not going to spend that. I'm just going to sell covered calls. Out of the money covered calls, you'd come up with about $7,000 a year, which is an astronomical amount of money on that kind of capital. And so I'm going to do a sort of an expose on that in the Cal report this week in a little more detail. But it's a super, super incredible way. Probably the most conservative thing. Randy, wouldn't you agree? It's probably the most conservative thing you could possibly do on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, that was exciting.
Yeah. Well, it is, and we call it the weekly fast cash technique. Is what we do with those weekly options, selling that out of the money.
Yeah.
We always sell it for a positive called return.
Yeah.
So if you get called out, like you said, you make a profit on the stock as well.
And if the stock doesn't get called out, which probably won't, then you got your stock, you keep the money, and you just sell the next week, the next Friday's option. And it just goes on and on and on. And just incredible amounts of money can be made with very little effort. Now, John, I had mentioned before I knew you were going to be on here, the returns you've had the last couple of weeks. I mentioned you've been with us. How long have you been with us, John?
Since fall of '09.
Okay, a long time. Long time. And you've been sending us these in time for the Cal report, these returns, your weekly returns, very detailed weekly returns, and we've been putting them in the Cal report for years. The intent of having you on as a permanent client on this is for people to call in and ask you questions. How in the world do you do this? Do you really do this? That kind of stuff. And these are real trades, I know.
Sure.
And also, if you have something you want to ask anybody here, everybody's here today except I guess I don't know where Keith is. But I know Dirk is in the process of going to the airport, so he won't be here. But it's just incredible what you do. And I just thought this would be a huge success. So we're beginning to put out some publicity on it. And you'll probably become famous and get a big head like Randy, And yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Goatee.
It's that dangerous. So why don't you kind of introduce yourself and let the folks know, that you're going to be here and you can answer their questions. And because a lot of people they listen to us, they listen to Cezanne and Joni and Randy and myself and Keith, and they say, oh, they're just talking. They don't really do this, but you're a client, been around forever. And so why don't you kind of introduce yourself, and I won't make you do it again.
Okay, well, I've been on the radio show a couple times back in the day, and I had listened to you folks for years when I was still working as an airline pilot. I'd just hear you for 15 or 20 minutes while I drove to O'Hare Airport, and I finally got the gumption up to try it out. Plus, I flew with a co-pilot once who had your book, and I had also just gotten it, so we had something to talk about for a little while, and jumped into it just after I retired. I met Randy when I came down to the first Masters I attended in September of 2010. And what a stroke of luck that was, just jumping into the van and asked him if he was maybe going to the conference. He said, well, yeah, I'm actually teaching it. I go, okay, I'm on your 6 o'clock the rest of the weekend here. So that was very good. And I got to meet his wife and, of course, all the folks down there. And this was my first chance to jump in with people. I hadn't even done anything except a couple of intensive classes down here in Norfolk Village, the Wyndham, I believe it was, Weston, I guess. And anyway, it was a joy to see 300 plus people in there from all walks of life at the hotel, the Omni, and enjoyed meeting folks. Of course, listening to Randy. I don't believe I met the ladies at that one, but
yeah, I think they were there, but they hadn't joined the team. I don't think. Yeah.
They were still working on the high heels and pearls, I think, at that point, maybe.
Yeah. Is it true that you as the pilot and your co-pilot actually did trades on these pads that you had up there in the cockpit while you were flying?
Well, I retired 10 years ago this August. We weren't even trusted with pads or any of that kind of modern stuff nowadays. I suppose guys could do that if you have Wi-Fi on the airplane. This is a radio that actually does have Wi-Fi on it. As I heard, they're getting ready to work with it.
Yeah.
Next year, they'll be on, or what will be on.
Hey, John, this is Marcus. Are you talking on a speakerphone, or I can hear a lot of echo?
I'm on my Bluetooth right now. I can put it right on the cell phone if you like.
Yeah, I think that might be better.
Let me try that. How's that?
Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Technology.
How does this sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
A little lower makes you sound a lot more mature and knowledgeable, you know? A little lower tone.
I can hear you fine this way. That's great.
Okay. I think that John was you were in SAC, right?
Yes, sir. I was down at Connell Air Force Base for 6.5 years. In fact, we're having a big reunion of guys we haven't seen for almost 40 years next month. So I'm trying to get down there and trying to get a hold of some of these folks on truthfinder.com or something. It's hard to find these people.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have taken better pictures and kept track of everybody. But
I was in SAC too. One day we'll have to get together and over a beer discuss our war ventures.
Oh, you bet. That'd be great. I was in the command post my last year, so I was working on 2 or 3 calls at a time. It was kind of like a miniature Dr. Strangelove thing down there. We didn't have an underground at McConnell, but
yeah,
where I spent my last year. But yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, I was at Little Rock Air Force Base, and we were the 308th Missile Wing, and then we didn't have the B-52, but we had the B-58s, and they were always on alert. And but we didn't have any B-52s. But we had those 308 missiles. They were in these underground silos all out across Arkansas. So it was yeah. So
we had the Titan IIs at McConnell too. So it was Little Rock, McConnell, and Davis Mountain, I believe, 3 days. Yeah, Titan IIs. Yeah,
there you go. Great. There you go.
Next to the missile controller. I was the aircraft controller, if you will, the guy that coordinated all the radio calls and commanders and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was interesting stuff. If you couldn't fly, you might as well be in the brains of the outfit.
Yeah. What do you think about this? I was talking about this article when we first started about doing the out of the money covered calls on stocks. Have you done any of that?
That sounds really interesting. I haven't really on what's in my retirement fund, which I keep looking at that, wondering why they can't do better for me. And of course, my last couple of weeks have been phenomenal, but I could turn around and dump that real easy. So it's all nebulous at this point. But I'm just very happy to have the kind of returns. And yesterday was just phenomenal. I was listening to the webinar with the ladies, and they got up because things were kind of south at that point. And then an hour and a half later, as I mentioned in the email, everything had turned around, and I was profitable and out of them at 10:30. And I hadn't even been watching them. I was kind of cleaning up after a dog who got into my wife's purse and ate a bunch of items. So that was another interesting message. I was delighted to look at my phone and see that the trades that I'd been worried about for 2 days that shouldn't have been in that long had actually closed for a profit. So I was amazed. There is a Santa Claus.
What I like about these emails you send in with your returns are the way you describe your actual trading, where you get so emotional and it's a poor choice. Maybe I waited too long. Blah 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 blah. I love this stuff. So gladiator trading, I like that one.
Guess yourself next week on this stuff. It's crazy. But
this one says do not do this at home. Insight. I'll call this gladiator training.
Yeah. Well, I had watched 10 Commandments and stuff, and I've been her the other day, so it just kind of popped into my mind. So that's what happened at those dark hours. Look at the timestamp on my email. It's way too late.
Like this trade, it's one of those long ones that's much better observed than participated in. So it's good. Mm-hmm. But and you really had a bad week there, 97.44% return. Okay, very good. Okay, well, Cezanne, what are you and Joni doing? Y'all have had a tumultuous week as far as not with losses or anything, but it's just the market's just been so crazy.
Yeah, we had, I think, Johnny had 4 preps today, and we didn't execute the trade. I had 1 prep based on the charts. The charts weren't lining up with what we were looking for to predict upward or downward momentum. So we ended up canceling those preps.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a trade earlier this week. Can't remember exactly. I didn't write it down. But we've had a great teaching week as far as with all the volatility. We've had a lot of opportunity to set up preps and talk through the indicators what's going on as the stock cycle.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, like yesterday morning, pre-market, the market was down, pre-market 500 something points. And then it made the biggest shift in one day ever in the market. It ended up being over 250 points, I think, at the close. And it's a good example of what we talk about all the time. People go out and sell stocks for a loss because they have it in their mind. You know, they're going to lose all their money. And stocks go down and stocks go up. And yesterday was a perfect example. Wouldn't you say, Randy, what we talk about all the time?
Oh, it was great because actually was able to manage and make additional profits on the covered call positions as it was down.
Yeah, that's what's cool about the technique with all those different things we have. So if the stock goes down, the TTSs and all that kind of stuff, where you can buy back things you've sold and make money, and then they always go back up, and you're doing things on the inverted V and V and all that kind of stuff, and really works great. But okay, well, Joni, what do you got to say for yourself? You were on the beach, and I want to tell you, I love that hat you had on last week.
Thanks.
Yeah. You have a good time. When did y'all get back?
We got back on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Well, good.
Yeah, it's been a weird week. You know, Cezanne did 2 preps today. I did 4, but we just couldn't quite get things to line up because we're conservative. Even though it's a fast trade, we want all indicators pointing the right way towards momentum. So it just didn't happen today, but it's always another day.
Yeah. Okay. Comes and goes. I know sometimes y'all pop out 2 or 3 or 4 in one week. So Randy, what's going on with your trades?
Doing great. The month of March was actually about 8.82%, I think it was, return on the covered call.
Now are these traditional covered calls?
Yeah, they're in the platinum service, so they're kind of modified covered calls, but yeah, it's the
remember back a long time ago, because gosh, Randy, you've been around 9 to 10 years. Remember it's 3% what we were shooting for a month? 3%?
Yeah, 3% a month, but now we can get that much in a week on some positions. Exactly.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, that's good too. And you've had so many traveling, challenges and having to get around the country so much. I think it's doing fantastic. I know I can hardly keep up with posting all those trades to the Cal report. I'll open the browser sometimes and look at it and say, oh my God,
They're typically in 10 to 12 per week, and they get closed out in a week. So,
Randy, there's 10 or 12 a day. What are you talking about? 10, 12? Maybe closed out. Yeah,
right. Because
there's interim creation and management,
right,
and close the thing out.
That's what we call management, where we can generate income, during the week on those positions as well. So
yeah. So people that are listening to this podcast, you need to go to our website, compoundstockearnings.com. You can get information on Randy's, what he teaches, and seminars, and Cezanne and Joni's, and Keith, who's not here, and of course talking to myself here. But when you get the free Cal report, it'll go out tomorrow afternoon. It goes out every Friday. It's dated on Saturday, and it's got all these questions. And all the trades that Randy does, all the trades that Cezanne and Joni do, and Keith, and then how people are handling those and what they're making. It's like John. John contributes to that, has been for years, and with his excellent emails, very detailed about what he's done for the week. And that's free. It doesn't cost anything. And so you need to when you sign up for these seminars from these folks, they're doing this stuff with real money, and you get instantly when they get ready to do a trade, you get it on your smartphone, you get it by email, which is the worst way to get it. It's just a good way to file it away and have a record. And you get it on your trading screen. So you know what they're getting ready to do, when they do it and when they get rid of it and what they make. And these are real trades. And so it's a great way to learn. Particularly you can do it virtually. You don't have to do it with real money. You can do it virtually. So Well, John, I'm so glad you're here. We'll welcome you to our group. And for everybody, wondering where he is, he's just a voice, sort of like Marcus. Marcus is just a blob on the screen when he talks. But John will be here in full living color next Thursday, and we'll be going from there. So does anybody else have any more comments to make? Nobody? Everybody quiet? Okay. Again, well, thank you all for being here. And Marcus, thanks for getting everything set up. And John, thanks for being here. And we'll see you actually on the screen here next weekend or next week, next Thursday.
Well, assuming I can get my computer knowledge up to speed, we'll make sure we dive into that heavily this week.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of short notice before. Okay. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll see everybody later on. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.